Hey, what's up guys, it's your boy Untitled here bringing you another video today. Today guys, we're going to be doing a equipment guide. I'm going to be trying to do this as easy as possible and try to make it to where you guys can understand it so it's easy to follow as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and say this as well. It is pretty late at night, so some stuff that I say may be a little bit crazy. Alright, I'm just gonna say that. So it's late at night, I'm kind of tired right now, I want to go to sleep, but I wanted to record this video because I already recorded it, but I didn't like how it went because I didn't include a lot of key points in that video. So before we talk about anything equipment, because this is going to be completely about equipment, this entire video, you need to understand the different types of equipment. So you have healing equipment, which is, you know, in the name, it heals your team or heals yourself. You have support equipment, which buffs up your team in some way, most of the time. You have physical attack equipment, which are physical attack weapons. Magic attack weapons, which do magic damage. And you also have defense equipment, which buffs your team defensively, meaning that your team can either tank an attack, or you reduce damage, or you negate damage, or whatever the case may be. That's what defense equipment does. So with that being said, let's talk about stuff that for new players. When picking up this game, you may look at equipment and you may think that it's pretty confusing, whenever in reality it's pretty simple. So let's just use Rayon here for an example. Let's go into my units real quick. We can see Rayon here. If you look at the symbols on the left, those are the symbols of the weapons that he can use, or what equipments he can use. So Rayon can use a 5-star physical attack weapon, a 4-star support equipment slot, and a 2-star physical attack equipment slot again. So don't mind, you know, anything else on the screen. We're focusing on the equipment, right? Not every character can equip any weapon you want to. So for example, you cannot put a magic attack weapon on Rayon. You can only put a physical attack weapon on him because those are what his slots enable him to have. Also, you cannot put any defense equipment on him or a healing item or anything like that because he only has a support equipment, meaning that you can only use support equipment on him. Okay, you can only equip Rayon with physical attack weapons and support equipment. You cannot equip him with anything else. Okay, you can't equip anything to any character. If the character has said item that you want to equip, then you can equip it on him. Let's say if that character you have a Bleak Prophet, which is a physical attack weapon, and the character that you want to equip it on has a physical attack slot, 5-star physical attack slot. You can use it on them. Now let me talk about something else real quick. Can you see these stars right here? These stars? These represent the max rarity that can be equipped in that equip slot. Since 5-star equipment is the highest rarity in the game currently, I don't know if that'll change in the future. My Rayon currently can equip one 5-star physical attack weapon, one 4-star support equipment, and one 2-star physical attack weapon. Okay, you can't just use any physical attack weapon. It has to be within the rarity. So for example, I cannot put my 5-star Bleak Prophet that I have currently in here. I cannot put that in my 2-star slot. You get that? You have to use equipment that your unit allows it to use. So unit allows itself to use. So I cannot force Rayon at all to be using 2 5-star weapons because currently he can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind as well. These stars represent the max rarity that you can put on that unit. So this slot right here, you may not even understand what a slot is. So you see how this right here, actually I'll show you this because this may be a little bit better. You see this right here, don't mind any of this stuff right here. You see, or don't mind any of these, we're focusing on this guy right here. You see how 5-star physical attack weapon right here, okay, I cannot put this in this slot. You see the slot I just clicked on? I can't put it in that, alright? It won't allow me to because this is a 5-star weapon and this is a 2-star weapon slot. It's not going to allow me to put that in there because that's not how the game works. You guys got that? Same thing with this. I cannot force a 5-star support equipment slot in there because the game says the max rarity of equipment you can slot in this is only 4 stars. You cannot put a 5-star in there right now. So that's what that is about. Alright, that covers the character and what that is for the character equipment slots and the rarities of the equipment slots. That's pretty much it for the character side, okay? The character side is that's pretty much it for the character side. You don't really have to worry about anything else if you're a new player, okay? Don't have to worry about anything else. If you're a new player, what I just told you, you're good to go. Now I'm going to tell you another thing is too. This is all about equipment this episode. This is technically a beginner's guide. So you may have noticed that these equipments right here, if we actually go back to them, if we click on one of them, let's actually look at my Bleed Prophet right here. Let's actually look at it. Or, well, if it'll let me. My Bleed Prophet right here, you see this little hammer right here? This represents its level. It has a maximum of 10 levels, okay? Each level increases its attack value. For this weapon, it's different for different items, okay? For different equipment, you increase different stats, depending on what weapon it is, okay? Or whatever it is. So, whenever I enhance this, I'll tell you how to enhance it in a little bit. But whenever I enhance this, it increases its attack. At level 10, it will reach its maximum attack value and it will reach its maximum damage on the skill. On top of that as well, let me talk about this since we're already on it. You may ask this little thing right here. This represents a limit break on a equipment. Limit breaking equipment is different from characters because on characters you increase their max stat values, correct? Well, on equipment you only increase the CT speed. And you may ask me, OP, what is CT? CT means cooldown pretty much. So in gameplay, whenever you use this item, let's say if I use the Bleed Prophet, if I tap on the Bleed Prophet, if it's equipped to my unit and I tap on Bleed Prophet in game, it's going to go on a 90-second cooldown after I use it. Meaning I will not be able to use the Bleed Prophet's effect again until another 90 seconds. And you may ask me, OP, what's Bleed Prophet's effect? Bleed Prophet's effect is just a straight up damaging attack. That's all Bleed Prophet does. So I cannot use the attack from Bleed Prophet again until after the 90 seconds is up. Now with that being said, talking about limit breaking only reduces the CT speed like I said earlier. And you may ask me, OP, does that mean that some equipments you may not want to limit break? You're correct on that. You don't want to limit break all equipment. And the reason for that is pretty much at max limit break, the rule of thumb that I've been seeing is if you get a weapon to max limit break or a piece of equipment, whatever it may be, if you get to max limit break, you pretty much cut its cooldown in half. Okay? That's pretty much all you do. If you get something to max limit break, you cut its cooldown in half. Now, yes, that does allow you to spam that piece of equipment more, but at the same time, if it's a rare piece of equipment or a gacha piece of equipment, you may not want to use it as a limit break material. You may want to save it for another unit. That's why limit breaking is sometimes really, whenever you limit break equipment, is really up to you. Because, yes, a fully limit broken item is good, and it's not bad to have a fully limit broken like Bleed Prophet or anything, but I will say that just know that for the really rare equipment, like Terrace Conjunction, stuff like that, like gacha summons, and you may get dupes of them, I wouldn't really recommend you limit breaking them. Unless you're absolutely sure that you're never going to use that piece of equipment on any other unit in the game. Because you always will want to have dupes in the future for upcoming units that you may pull and all that other good stuff. Okay, so that's a little bit of an entry into limit breaking and what you get from leveling up a piece of equipment. Like I said earlier, it's different. So whenever you level up a piece of equipment, let's just go over this one more time. Whenever you level up a piece of equipment, you'll increase its stats values, whatever the stats may be. You'll also increase the skill as well. Whatever the skill may be, the skill will increase per level of the piece. Every time you level up the piece of equipment, the skill and the stats will increase. However, if you want to reduce the CT speed or the cooldown on a piece of equipment, you need to limit break it. Upon limit breaking, you will reduce the cooldown by a certain amount, and it will tell you after you get the limit breaking, it'll tell you, hey, you reduced the cooldown by this much, and it will show a new CT number. Moving on from that, let's talk about how to level up the weapon now, shall we? So, if you want to level up a weapon, you click equip right here. It will take you to this man right here. His name's Gilliam, really nice guy. Click on enhance. let's go find that bleed profit. Leveling up weapons is different from leveling up units. Leveling up units, you know, take the chickens or whatever you use on. Leveling up equipment, however, takes materials. These materials can be either like they are right here. These materials all right here are from the daily quest. Okay, these right here that I'm scrolling over, these are all daily quest materials. All right, you do the daily quest for them whenever they come by, you get the material for them. Easy peasy. This right here is an giant boss exclusive material. It's only in these giant bosses that it lists. This right here is exclusive to only a giant boss upon clear. So you have daily materials which you can farm through the daily missions that you do. And you don't know what I'm talking about with the daily missions. You know how you have to do the daily evolution missions for characters to get the evolution materials for them to level or to evolve them. Let's say you do the daily for the fire unit, and you get the fire evolutions from him, and then or you do the fire evolution quest, you get the fire evolution materials, and then you can evolve that fire unit that you were working on. It's the same way with Bleed Prophet. You have to do a different quest, but it's going to be on the same day as whatever it is. So let's say if it's Fire Day, that means that you'll be able to get fire evolutions on one quest for characters, and you'll be able to get level up materials for equipment on the other quests. I'll show you what it looks like in just a sec. So you see this right here? The path to fire is for evolution materials. Okay? You do this for characters. Materials in the Firelight, however, is equipment materials. You do this, you get these materials to level up equipment in the equip shop, okay? That's what's the difference between those two. Whatever day it is, both of these quests will always be available. If it's Fire Day, you'd better believe evolution material fire quest is going to be available, and the equipment material fire quest is going to be available. If it's Water Day, then the water evolution materials is going to be available, and the water equipment materials are going to be available, okay? So you can always get materials like that, but not all materials are gotten like that, okay? Such as the other materials that we mentioned earlier. For example, the Yellow Thunder Crystal. You can see right here if you read it, exploring Fortress of the Machine Gods Int Advanced Pro, and you can see in parentheses it says Giant Boss, and it says exploring Glowing Sanctuary Int Advanced Pro Giant Boss, meaning that you can only get this equipment from this or those said giant bosses. So you have to do those giant bosses in order to get this piece of material that you need to level up your equipment. However, there's also another one that you need, the Gem of Affinity, which it varies depending on what equipment it is or what it's from. So for example, Bleed Prophet is from the Divine Princess giant boss. The Divine Princess drops the Gem of Affinity whenever you beat it. Whenever you beat the quest, it will drop Gem of Affinity, and the entire quest has a chance to drop it. Alright, that's how you get Gem of Affinities, is from this said giant boss. You can only get it from this giant boss, nowhere else. Alright, there's also one more material that I want to cover. Hopefully you guys understood that. So there is one more material that I want to cover though, that is another exclusive material that you just don't use whenever, and you have to use it very efficiently most of the time, or you have to really farm the event whenever it's going on. Let me show you what I mean. Let's look at the burn armor. This is with the current event going on currently. You may notice right here, this is a level 1 piece of armor, so you know we don't have all the materials here that we need yet. However, what is this right here? This is event exclusive equipment level up materials. You can only get this piece of equipment level up materials if you are doing the event. If the event is not here, or the event ends and you did not get a piece of equipment to max level, then you cannot get that equipment to max level until that event comes back. So that's why people are constantly farming these events and everything, because you're gonna want to make sure you have enough to level up all the pieces of equipment from that event, so you can get this to get all the equipment that's from the event to max level. Let's recap real quick. You have the daily equipment materials that you can farm from the daily quests. They rotate every single day that you can do. You also need to get on certain weapons, you need to get the giant boss exclusive if they are from a giant boss. If the equipment is from a giant boss, you will need to get the giant boss material as well by doing the giant boss event. And you also have event exclusive materials. Event exclusive materials only come from that event. Okay, so currently right now we have As a Lady going on. This material right here, the divine crystal right here, I can only get this material during this event. I will not be able to get this material after the event leaves. I will have to wait until the event comes back in order to get this material again. And that's how you level up equipment in Grand Summoner. Hopefully that's not too complicated. I tried to be a little bit slow with this video and kind of really take it in and show you kind of everything that equipment has to offer. I didn't really go too in depth though. I didn't go too in depth and talking about like, oh, you know, this can have a buff, this can have a buff. Pretty much any equipment in this game could buff your units or debuff the enemy. It doesn't matter if it's a physical attack weapon, a magic attack weapon, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? But I'm trusting you guys that you guys will understand the equipment enough to just be able to tell if a equipment buffs you, because the only thing you have to do is read the description of it. But of course, if you have any questions at all, or you think that OP, maybe you didn't cover this well enough, maybe I need a little bit more clarification on this part, tell me in the comments below. I'll reply to you, I'll get to you. Also, you know, a lot of helpful people are in my comments. If you're a new player, you know, ask a question, you know, a lot of people will help you out as well. Alright, so try to do it a little bit slow. It wasn't like a normal OP video, alright, but I want to make sure that it was easy to follow and it was easy to understand as a new player, because I tried to do this in a very simple way so new players could really understand this and not get too confused, because I know this game is kind of confusing to new players if you never played a game like it. So hopefully this video did help you if you are new, or maybe you didn't know this, you know, maybe you started playing and you kind of played for a few days but you didn't really exactly know how equipment really worked or whatever. Well, now you do. If you want me to go more in depth on equipment buffing and all that, I can do that in another video, but I don't feel like that's needed, because more than likely you can just read the description of a piece of equipment and you can just see if it buffs your character in a certain way or does a certain action, right? So yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, drop a like, comment down below, subscribe for more, and I'm out, guys. Peace.